Woohoo! I'm so excited. I'm literally peaking here. HumNav HQ, the doors are open today officially. Wow. Wow. So a big welcome to you all and a big thank you for coming into the space. This October, the theme we are looking at is navigating life's roadblocks. And this week, I want to start off with uncertainty because our world is full of it at the moment and it has some really big impacts on us individually, as communities, as families, as cultures, and as the whole of humanity. In a way, we get so overwhelmed by uncertainty. And the first thing that I want to help you with today, day one of at HumNav HQ, is to help you understand why do we get daunted and derailed by uncertainty? Why am I starting there? Because uncertainty is scary because we are dealing with the unknown. So I want to actually start with bringing some understanding and getting you to be more comfortable and familiar with what causes this disturbia from uncertainty. To do that, I need to bring my friends, the 6 Ds of uncertainty, into play. So I'm going to jump over and share my screen, and we're going to work through and understand what the role of the 6 Ds are with uncertainty. Okay, so the 6 Ds are different, difficult, discomfort, disappointment, disapproval. Okay, and what happens is that these guys tend to have a bit of a pack mentality. They tend to hang out together. And it's not just them on their own that creates this disturbia and fear within us around uncertainty. It's actually the emotions they bring. They're the things that really unsettle us. So we're going to jump in and have a look at each one of these and see what sort of emotions that they trigger within us so that we can grow some understanding, because with understanding comes familiarity, and with familiarity comes greater certainty and knowing. So that's how we can move uncertainty into a more comfortable space of knowing. Okay, so let's start to befriend uncertainty. So I'm going to call up the 6 Ds. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. Okay, so let me just move this around here a bit. So let's talk about different. What sort of things and emotions does different bring up for you? Usually it's things like alienation and feeling alone, right? You start to feel this separateness and this disconnection. And often we end up wanting to hide because we don't feel comfortable in that space because we feel so different, or the task we are doing feels different and uncomfortable because we don't have a sense of knowing. And so we often don't want to raise our hand and ask for help. So that keeps separating us further and further. And so we start to feel more alone. Then comes in the degree of difficulty. And difficulty usually starts to trigger things like self-consciousness, and we start to get, we become very self-conscious about what we're thinking, about what we're saying, what we're doing, and how beautiful is that, because that has just been triggered in me. And so you can actually see that when you move in to a space of being triggered around self-consciousness, you actually lose your flow, which is what I just did then. So how wonderful. Everything is a teaching moment and everything happens and unfolds at the perfect moment. So often our inner critic can come into play when we're in this space of self-consciousness, and we start to discount ourselves and think, my goodness, I'm really not good at this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing it. Maybe I'm not good enough. And they're powerful emotions and feelings that get triggered. Then there's discomfort. Oh my goodness, ouch, 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 ouch. Mental and emotional discomfort. Wow. I wonder what's harder for people. Maybe you can drop it in the comments. Do you find mental and emotional discomfort worse than physical discomfort, or the other way around? I'd be interested to know. But you know what? I think, I have a fairly high tolerance now of both. But, we do have different tolerance rates around discomfort. And what happens is when we move into discomfort, it starts to trigger feelings of being scared and vulnerable, right? And it's and what happens is that we tend to lean away from whatever is creating the discomfort. And, the couch starts to get very comfortable, looks very cozy. And that glass of wine, possibly, or that coffee is a lovely distraction. So discomfort tends to get us feeling really vulnerable. And, a lot of us struggle with showing our vulnerability. And that's one of the things that we're going to be able to navigate and practice moving through here in HumNav, because vulnerability really is actually a strength. For you to stand firm and open, minded and hearted in your vulnerability, it's the most amazing and liberating experience. So I'd really like you to experience that and to get there, and so that you are comfortable being in your vulnerability. Doubt. Oh man, who here has revolved in doubt? I've drowned in doubt at different times in my life. I'm guilty. I'll raise both hands for this. And what happens is that when you start to be the embodiment of doubt, indecision just becomes the norm, right? And then because you don't feel like you can make a decent decision, or you just have no sense of knowing whatsoever, all these insecurities start to bubble up, and you really start to doubt the essence of who you are, what you're doing, and why you are here. And all of those things trigger powerful, powerful emotions and feelings within us. So again, it tends to get us moving into a retreat mode rather than stepping into the space of doubt. Then there's disappointment. Wow, some days it seems like there's a whole crowd of disappointment gathered around you, and they can really jump on you, and disappointment starts to trigger feelings of flatness and failure and demotivation, and that will move you into procrastination and all that sort of stuff, which we'll be talking about next week with our wonderful community challenge. So disappointment can really, really put you into that muddy, dark space where you feel like you're a failure. And what do you do when you feel like a failure? How do you start to behave? What do you retreat and hide, or are you getting out there amongst it? And then there's disapproval. This is a big one. And disapproval can be within your own disapproval, or the disapproval of someone else. Those voices that you hear from, somebody else saying, I told you, you shouldn't have done that. But, we have those sorts of conversations going on in our head all the time. And what does that make us feel? It makes us feel judged and inadequate. And so again, you start to discount yourself and you start to back yourself into a corner. So that's why uncertainty has such a powerful impact on us, right? These 6 Ds all band together and start creating all these really gnarly emotions and feelings. But what if we could shift these feelings and emotions that we are attaching to each of these particular experiences? What if we could shift them? Let me give you an example. If we have a look at different, right? I'm using this, I want to just create a to and a from experience. This is your own first, sort of mini transformation around what you perceive to be possible, right? Because that's what uncertainty does to us. It makes us feel that things are impossible. It nibbles away, it chips away at all that sense of possibility. So I'm using this construct of what is seemingly impossible. So for different, when we started to feel alien and alone, that makes us feel like things are going to be impossible to achieve. But if we can reframe that and attach a different combination of feelings, then maybe that impossible can move more into the space of I'm possible. So for different, what if we, instead of feeling alienated and alone, we looked at it at different from a perspective of uniqueness? What is your uniqueness? And what are you gifted at? Just sit and feel into that for a moment. Different. What makes you different? What makes you stand out? What makes you unique? What makes you gifted? These are your values. These are your gems. These are your essences. So if you can start to attach those to the experience of being different, you will have a totally different view on life, and you will have a totally different view and vibe inside. The impossible side, alienation and alone, leads to misalignment. Feeling your own uniqueness, specialness, your gifts aligns you to your authentic self. So different becomes really powerful. Different becomes a very important messenger about you and your authentic self and where you belong. So let's now look at the other 5 Ds and see how we can reframe them from these impossible, gnarly feelings and emotions to something that's more aspirational and something that we can hold in our heart and will lead us to our own sense of greater authenticity and truth. So difficult, right? That old attachment and line and thinking is you become self-conscious and you don't feel like you're good enough. But what if we reframe it? What if, you think about a time when you have come through adversity or difficulty and all of a sudden you move from this space of being self-conscious and not good enough to being resilient and capable because you achieved things that you didn't think you were going to achieve. So now when you look at difficult, you are able to attach a sense of I am resilient. I am capable. Every time I experience something difficult, I am building my capability. I am building my skill set. I am growing. I am transforming. I am evolving. How powerful is that? That's super. I'm excited. The hairs on my arms are absolutely standing on end. So this is definitely working for me. I hope it's working for you. Now let's get to discomfort. Discomfort where we were feeling scared and vulnerable, but how do we shift that to the I'm possible sense? How do we hold that in our heart, right? Well, when I always think of discomfort, I always think about having to dig deep, and that always reminds me of courage. So when I feel discomfort, I call upon my heart. And my heart is very courageous. It is a powerhouse, right? And so what if we attach a sense of courageousness to discomfort? So every time we start to feel discomfort, we think, wow, I'm courageous, I can do this. And you can even start and have a little think about what your courage credentials might be. You know, get a piece of paper out, write a list of all the things that you have done that's been courageous or where you have surprised yourself, right? So with courage comes opportunity. And I know you all want that. We all want opportunity. We all want to grow and unfold. We all want to live fully and love deeply. So every time you feel discomfort, think about a good yoga pose, right? When you're in that yoga pose and you lean in and you stretch and you go, oh, that feels a little uncomfortable. What do? Do you pull back? No. You take a deep breath and then you let go. You release and you relax, right? So moving into uncertainty is the same as moving into a difficult or moving into a yoga pose, right? Effectively, in life, you are just stretching into the unknown parts of you. Now, isn't that a kind of good analogy to have hanging around in your head every time you feel discomfort? You think, I can just lean into this. I can just stretch into this, because that is all courage takes. It's as simple as a stretch. How amazing is that? Okay, doubt. Oh, dissolving in doubt. We get stuck in indecision and we start to grow our insecurities. They just seem to bubble up like all those bubbles in a glass of champagne or a glass of mineral water. But what can we do to re-anchor doubt? How can we turn that from a seemingly impossible space to an I'm possible space? Well, I have a saying, find the do in doubt. How do you do that? You get curious. Curiosity is such a powerful tool. Do you know what? When you get curious, you can't be judgmental. So curiosity trumps judgment. So when you start to feel doubt, ask yourself, where's the do in doubt? Get curious, get resourceful, hey? Become a detective. Now, that sense of discovery, wow, that's a powerful D, isn't it? So let's bring in discovery. So when you start to feel doubt, move into finding the do and doubt and step into that space of discovery. That feels unreal. That feels so much better. And internally, the vibe inside is going to go from feeling sludgy and heavy to, you know, all your 37.2 trillion cells are going to be jiggling with joy at the thought of curiosity and discovery. Okay? So that's pretty good too. Disappointment. Okay, so we know that disappointment leaves us feeling flat and feeling like a failure. So how do we reframe that? How do we attach different feelings and emotions to disappointment? Well, let's have a think about it. When you come out of a disappointment and you have a moment to reflect, usually what it shows you is that you need to make a change in your path or it's a change in direction. So disappointment, like all of these guys, are just messengers. And so what happens is every time you experience a disappointment, you can go, woohoo, yippee, guess what? Clarity and alignment is on its way. Clarity around what is right for me. Clarity around what is true for me. And then when you understand that and when you can live and embody that and say, look, here, can you hear the bell chiming in the background? That is just to show you how important this is. Because with clarity comes alignment to your authentic truth, to your authentic self, to who you are, to why you are here. Hey, all that special sauce stuff. So disappointment, yay, I'm disappointment. That means that clarity is just around the corner. Let's go poke my head around the corner and see what it's saying. And our last one, disapproval. Yeah, I could feel that heaviness from being judged and feeling inadequate. So how do we reframe disapproval? How do we move that from the impossible to I'm possible? Well, do you know what? Again, it's a really interesting message that disapproval is bringing, and it's one. It shows us. It's like bold in writing, underline, and all of that, because what it's showing you is that perhaps you are living somebody else's life, not yours. The only approval that matters is your own alignment to your heart and soul. And your heart and soul knows that every experience, every moment is feedback and navigation to get you to embody more of your authentic self and truth. So what happens is when we experience disapproval, it's a great wake up to say, hey, whose approval am I looking for here? And usually what happens is we realize that we are trying to get approval from somebody else, which means we're actually trying to track a path and a life that's theirs, not yours. Do you know what the number one regret of the dying is? I wish I had the courage to live a life that was true to me, not a life that was true to others. So disapproval is really, really important here in terms of showing us, freeing us and giving us independence to live our own life, to track our own path, to hike our own trails, to find what makes our heart and soul sing. So our first lesson for today, for this week, is a big one, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming, because I just want you to do one thing, okay? I want you to look at the 6 Ds of uncertainty, and I want you to see which one speaks to you most. And I want you to feel into those reframed feelings, the I'm possible feelings. And I want you to sit there and feel it. I want you to feel it in your heart space. I don't want you to think it in your head. Move into that second intelligence center. Remember, in the HumNav, gosh, I can't even say HumNav anymore. In the HumNav how-tos, I've identified 3 intelligence centers: the mind, the heart, and the intuition. So when you do this exercise, when you select the D that speaks to you the most at the moment, which one is holding you back at the moment? Which one is unsettling you, right? Feel into it and feel into that reframe around I'm possible, and write, or just feel, or sing, or dance. Do whatever expression comes naturally to you. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition. What does it want you to do? And then when you've done that, share what you found in the comments below. I'd also love to know how you get some feedback on this first teaching as to how it went for you. Did it land? What landed? And we can start some conversations here. So the first step to navigating uncertainty is to get some understanding around what makes it so disturbing in the first place. And there you have it, the 6 Ds. They have pack mentality. Have a think about them, have a feel into them, and see which one is limiting your life at the moment. And then start that reframing process. Because I can tell you, as soon as you attach into that and embody those different feelings that are now connected to that word, opportunity and freedom and expansiveness and joy, all of that is just going to open up to you. Okay? Well, go have a play, okay? And enjoy your day.